I thought you were going full-out anti-vax conspiracy theorist there for a second, LMAO. This is underneath a video where I showed y'all my healthcare administration textbook, which praises the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation as well as Rockefeller for their role in crafting the American healthcare system and public health policy. And no, I'm not anti-vax, but after studying healthcare administration for the last year and a half or so, I do have a lot of criticisms of the U.S. response to COVID, the way that the vaccine was rolled out and capitalists used the pandemic to make billions of dollars. And not to say that this is what this comment is doing, but it is frustrating to see liberals call people anti-vax conspiracy theorists for just questioning Big Pharma. Even if they're not questioning the vaccine itself, but rather the system that manufactured, distributed, and profited off it. And it seems like this narrative is coming from the top. Bill Gates has been all over corporate media during the pandemic, accusing anybody who criticizes him of being a conspiracy theorist. And it's like, really? We're not allowed to question why the Microsoft guy is in charge of the pandemic? The dude who's actively being accused by African health policy experts of poisoning their soil and debt trapping their farmers while calling it charity? Which was never covered on CNN, by the way. I mean, let's not be so naive to think that just because these people paid scientists money to create a vaccine that works, that they're all of a sudden going to put their profit motivations aside and act altruistically for the interests of the masses. I mean, do we really think the pharmaceutical companies who enforced a vaccine apartheid on the poorer nations care about people's health? If they did, Western banks wouldn't have allowed Venezuela to pay for 90% of their vaccine before blocking the last 10% of the payment so their people couldn't get the vaccine. Or they wouldn't have maintained an embargo on Cuba, which forced the island country to create their own vaccine, which they were unable to distribute for a while because the U.S. embargo was blocking syringes. These are the same people who used intellectual property laws so they wouldn't have to give the vaccine recipe to poor people. They don't care about you, and they don't care about public health either. They care about using public health to make a bunch of money. And this is why I'm against vaccine mandates or employers forcing their workers to get the poke. Because, as my healthcare administration textbook pointed out, corporate interests like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation have a huge role in crafting government health policy. And I do not think they want to force the vaccine on people to keep them healthy and safe. They want to do it to maximize profit. The Gates Foundation has been instrumental this year in funding coronavirus vaccine programs. But the foundation hasn't just handed money over to drug makers, it's also invested in a few of them. Like, do you see what I'm saying? The people in charge of the pandemic are the Wall Street investors making billions of dollars off the pandemic. As they enforce a vaccine apartheid on the global south and fill the airwaves with corporate propaganda calling anybody who criticizes them a conspiracy theorist.